Welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. From the bus leagues to the big leagues, the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast has got you covered. Here's Jeff and John. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. This is episode number 119. And today, Jacob Latz, the left-handed pitcher for the Texas Rangers, is going to join us. But first, we're going to go big leagues. And big leagues today, we're going to talk about a couple of things. By the way, good idea when you told me about Oklahoma and how beautiful that campus was.
Yeah.
That is an amazing – you've never been to Oklahoma. That's an incredible campus. We went up there. But I tell you what, we saw some tornado stuff. It took us forever to get up there.
All right.
Because when you go up, you put it in your phone or whatever, and it tells you the quickest way. And I kept going, this isn't even going to 35 is how you get up there normally.
Right. It's right off the highway.
Right.
The campus is right off the highway.
So it didn't take me that way. It took me all these back roads through. And I said, there must have been a wreck or something or some traffic or something like that. Well, we figured out what it was because when we left to come home the next day, man, that tornado that ripped through, ripped a whole warehouse apart. There were still cars in the middle lanes.
Oh.
And there was work. There were these huge cranes working on all of it. And, it was just, man, it was a wreck. I mean, you don't know the power of a tornado.
Yeah.
Till you see it like that. And, it was unbelievable, but I think he's narrowed it down, and I think this is the place he wants to go.
Well, that's good.
As a UT fan, that's that's just fantastic to have an OU kid. But you know what?
It's a good school. It's a pretty campus.
It's a gorgeous campus.
You're going to get a good college experience, good athletics.
Yep.
If that's where he ends up going, great.
Yeah, I didn't go to UT, so I can wear my crimson and whatever it's called. Or when your money goes there, you are allowed to be a fan.
That's right.
That's exactly what it is. Okay, big league team.
Yes,
they are 17-15. They are half a game out of first place.
Okay,
to behind the Seattle Mariners. 6-4 in their last 10, and they have won one. They won the day game yesterday.
Yep.
Heading in tonight to the series with Kansas City, who, by the way, is really good. I mean, Kansas City has been good.
Yeah, they were going to be, they did a lot in the offseason. They feel like kind of their young players are ready to help. And that's good. And it's, it's kind of not at the level the Rangers spent, but, you kind of get some veterans in there. It's been on the pitching side. Chris Young is going to go up on the trip. He's got three World Series rings to hand out to Will Smith, Chris Stratton, and Cole Reagan. So a lot of familiar faces, but pretty good little ball club. And it's the first game of a 9-game road trip, which goes to Oakland from here. And then Kansas, Colorado, my hometown. I'm not able to go, unfortunately, but the Rangers have had a tough schedule. I think that's something worth noting as they're floundering around 500 and keeping their head above water and all that. They played some really good teams. The Nationals have some good arms. That game, that frustrating game Wednesday when the Rangers had the 2 bases loaded opportunities and didn't get anything. That Nationals bullpen came in with some big arms.
Yep,
and,
they did.
It was pretty good. And
just keep winning series is all you can do. Stay in this thing.
It was a winning homestand. They went 5-4. The one losing series was to the Mariners, who are now in first place, but barely. And the Mariners can pitch. Everybody knew that. The Rangers have really had some good starting rotation.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
And the bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen's been great too.
Their offense is what's lacking right now. It's just trying to get it rolling.
I guess the biggest issue we're facing the team, and there'll be resolution later today, I think, is with Nathan Eovaldi, and he left to start early with some groin tightness. It was weird listening to him after the game. He's like, I had, in my mind, there were 2 options. I could stay and get a couple warm-up pitches and see how it felt. And then, the Rangers, he knew he was almost at 100. He's at the end of his rope anyway. So, they just went ahead and got him out. Now, I do think he's going to go on the injured list. Just reading between the lines what they're saying. We're going to be smart with this, going to take care of the guy. It's early in the season.
Why not get an extra arm just to...
So if they do it right, he'll miss 2 starts, assuming it's minor and he doesn't need a month or anything like that. If he just needs the 2 weeks, he'd missed 2 starts, which you can fill in with a combination of Owen White and Jack Leiter. So I just think that's probably the route they're going to go.
No word yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, no word. It'll come this afternoon. And honestly, he doesn't start till Tuesday, so they could technically give him a couple days to see how he feels. But I just think it's going to be a situation where he ends up on the injured list. And yeah, they could IL him right away, bring up a reliever for a few days, send that reliever down. I'd assume it'd be Grant Henderson, and go ahead and get
who's got frequent flyer miles.
Get Owen White up, I would guess, for the Tuesday start. Then Wednesday they have that crazy doubleheader. So Jack Leiter is going to probably pitch one of those games, I would guess. And then going forward there, the next time Eovaldi's spot would come up would be the 13th, I believe. So they could go with White there, or they could go with Leiter. It would be 4 days rest, which is normal rest for a major league starter. But in the minor leagues, they only pitch once a week. So, would White be better, more used to the schedule than Leiter would be? So I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that could happen, scenarios, but that's kind of the big thing that's facing them. Cody Bradford, has had a rib injury instead of a back injury. I talked to him yesterday. He said he's doing everything. So basically, it's pain tolerance, and but they are going to give it a couple more weeks. But he doesn't even seem injured, but he is. But he said he's doing just about everything, and he has no pain. So, it's kind of weird how these roster things always work themselves out. You're like, oh, geez, Cody Bradford's hurt. Well, Max Scherzer might be coming back. No, Max has got a little thumb thing and forearm tightness, but that's getting better. So anyway, these things always work themselves out. It's just I don't know. I don't know if it's Murphy's Law or whatever the hell it is. It's just something that happens. And
let's be honest with Eovaldi. He may wake up today and either feel a little worse, because you always, that second day is when you really can kind of tell if something's there. He may feel totally fine and go, you know what, I may have over exaggerated a fart or something. It came out and I thought I felt it in my groin or whatever. But if he feels anything at all, you'd got to think, if he comes in and goes, I'm just kind of tight.
Yeah,
he's going to go IL. I imagine.
Yeah, well, he's getting an MRI. They have MRI machines in Kansas City too, and they'll get a quick look at it and be able to diagnose something. And you'd think it's a shorter term deal, just the way he was talking about it and the way the Rangers talk about it. So, but to what you said earlier, pitching's been good, bullpen's been really, really good, but the offense continues to stagnate.
And it's not because Josh Young is missing.
Smith
is done well.
Yeah, Josh Smith's been great. There's no question about it. I think that the lineup's different, obviously, with him in there and Young. And not Josh Young, because Josh Young hits the ball out of the ballpark a lot more than Josh Smith does. Yep. So it's a different dynamic. But Josh Smith has been wonderfully productive, and it's similar to what Duran did for Seager last year. But Seager's the thing that's sticking out in the lineup right now.
Yeah, he just has not gotten going yet.
3 for 41 slump right now, and we talked to him yesterday, and he says it's not the hernia thing, it's nothing physical, so that means mechanics. Bruce Bochy's been saying it's been timing. Of course, Corey doesn't really talk about that stuff, which is fine. But
he's never done.
He said, "I just need to get more hits." I'm like, well, he's hit some balls hard, but there have been some other at bats where he hasn't hit the ball hard, and it's at times like this when you're like, man, if he would just maybe he's too aggressive at the plate. Because he's always been a first pitch swinger.
He likes to
early in count swinger. That's not it. He's going to figure it out. It's not dissimilar from what Simeon went through in the postseason last year. It's happening at the start of a season, so it's a little bit magnified. But Corey Seager, you're going to bet on Corey Seager figuring this thing out.
Yeah, and with Corey Seager goes the offense. If he is hot and going, I think that kind of trickles down to everyone, because that's a a person in the lineup that you're avoiding, trying to get out. And when you're, look, I'm not worried about it. There's no way in the world do I think Corey Seager's will be hitting in the low 200s by the time the end of this season happens. I think it's a matter of getting going.
Yeah. It'll even out. And but Nate Lowe's been good since he's come back.
Yes, he has.
There's still the Evan Carter issue with lefties, though he batted against a lefty yesterday. Got a hit a couple balls hard. Got to get a hit. So the lineup the team does have issues, but all teams have issues.
Mm-hmm.
And the important thing to remember is the Rangers are above 500. They are
2 games above 500.
Well, right, but while everyone's like, "Oh, they're terrible," blah blah blah, they're surviving right now, and they're doing a pretty good job of surviving. They're keeping their head above water. They have not dipped below 500. They're not in first place anymore, but it's early, and the margin's only half a game. So I understand the panic, especially after winning the World Series and returning basically everybody, and this team's supposed to be great, and there's still all those opportunities out there. We're 32 games into the season, 130 to go. So, guys are going to get healthy. Guys are going to start finding their rhythm, and you're seeing that in the rotation. And you win with pitching, you win with defense, and right now the pitching and the bullpen are really, really good.
And the defense has been good too.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of errors. So
yeah.
Okay, so if this whole team's healthy, everybody comes back, and everyone gets going, Josh Young comes back, what's Josh Smith doing?
Well, it's going to be similar to Duran last year. They're going to have to find a place for him. And it worked out a little while for Duran, but then you find your lineup and the deal with the young players is that when they play regularly, they get their opportunity, they hit, and then they don't get to play as much. So then they just start to kind of lose momentum. They don't know how to keep it like a veteran hitter would, like Travis Jankowski. Jankowski had 2 at bats yesterday, and he crushed the ball both times.
Yep,
went 1 for 2, but the one was a big one. It got in 2 runs and make it 6-0. But you say, well, where could he play? He could play left field, but to do that, and keep everybody in the lineup, somebody's going to have to sit. So does Leody Taveras end up sitting? Does Evan Carter become the everyday center fielder? It's just a tough situation.
And Josh does fine out in left field, but he's a better infielder than he is an outfielder.
It's one of those, they say good problems to have. You can't have too many good players. And I agree with that. In theory, they basically have, there's a right-handed Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran, and there's Josh Smith. So they have two of the same player, really. And they're young.
Josh is hitting left-handers.
Well, he is, but, it's just at some point, I don't think he's going to replace Josh Young.
No,
I don't know who he would replace unless it's.
Let me say this:
unless it's Taveras getting pushed out by moving
right, and that seems like the most obvious choice. Then Taveras get pushed to the 4th outfielder or sit, or whatever it is. But let me ask you this: this guy could be an everyday starter on another team.
He could be, yeah.
He's a great defender. I don't care what anyone says. I've always said yes, Josh Young is an amazing defender. He's a Gold Glove defender over there. I've always liked Smith. I think Smith's a little better because he's quicker. He whips his arm, and he has a better arm. But it doesn't mean I don't think Josh Young is not a good defender. Josh Young is an excellent defender. But people see that Josh Young is just an overall better player. This is an all-star caliber player in Josh Young. So
they're different players.
Absolutely. They were absolutely different. But I could see him playing second base for another team that needs a second baseman.
He can play. His natural position is shortstop, and that's probably his best position. And
so does he maybe become valuable enough that the Rangers could go get a bat or somebody?
It's going to be an interesting trade period because
everybody gets mad and goes, no, you keep him. You sit Leody, you do all that. And I'm like, yeah, but what if you could go get, whoever that hits 30 home runs and DH is perfect for them, and you still sit Leody and you move what's his name out to, or a left fielder that comes in.
Yeah, I don't know.
That player's not identified yet, so I don't know. But I'm just saying.
And you don't know what's going to happen between now and the trade deadline. Somebody could get hurt and be out for the rest of the year.
Right.
He
could go colder.
All kinds of things. Yeah. Josh Smith might start. He might hit 200 in May.
Absolutely. No, that's the thing.
But it in 2.5 months or 3 months, basically at the end of July, is the trade deadline, and contenders do stuff, and the Rangers still have the farm system to do it. But it's going to be interesting because as we suspect, or as they expect, Max Scherzer's going to come back. Jacob deGrom and Tyler Mahle will come back at some point.
Yep.
So you're going to have a surplus of starting pitching. You probably, you could put them all in the bullpen, right? I mean, you really could, or you could trade one of them.
Sure.
So you could trade a starter and a big league starter and a big league caliber infielder, and try to get things. I don't know. I mean, but the Rangers are going to have a surplus of talent at certain positions.
It is a great problem to have.
They might have a different arsenal of things to trade with, instead of just gutting the farm system, when that time comes. Now, I don't know. I mean, the early trends would suggest that they struggle against left-handed pitching, and they're going to need a right-handed bat.
Yep.
So those are out there, and you don't know. You don't know which teams are going to be
trading, right? Nobody. Yeah,
you could with what the Rangers had, you could see a trade between two contenders.
Yep.
Swapping out pieces. So we'll see, but I think that before they can make any of those decisions, though, the starters have to come back. Like Max Scherzer made his rehab start last week. He was supposed to make one Monday or Tuesday. Didn't happen because he has like a thumb ligament that is sore, that has kind of caused some forearm tightness.
You can't screw around with that.
He said it's gotten better the last couple of days. He's not going to make a rehab start this weekend, but it seems like he played catch on Thursday. It seems like once that calms down, he'll be able to go again. But if you have to wait 5 days, let's say, well, you probably want to throw a bullpen for you before you send him out. So it's looking like probably maybe the homestand, when the Rangers get home, May 13th to May 19th could be when Scherzer makes his debut. If he rehabs next week, both affiliates are home, so he could go to Frisco.
Right. I
think he likes pitching for Round Rock because the hitters are a little more. It's a little bit more what you're going to see.
Sure.
They're a little bit more seasoned. They don't.
It's so easy to come out to Frisco.
They don't ambush. They kind of have an approach. So I think he might go back to Round Rock, and I don't know, but he has to be able to pitch.
Right.
But anyway, back to my original point. You can have all these plans on paper. He's gonna come back in May, and then Mahle, deGrom, boy, ready for the postseason charge. But those things have to happen, right. and until they do, you do you want to bet on that? If you need something and you can get it at the time, do you do it? So it'll be interesting. But that's like I said, that's 3 months away. And right now it's about surviving and getting guys who are healthy in the figurative sense, producing and being good. But I think right now the good side, like we've said now 3 times, rotation is very good. They allowed 2 runs to the Nationals in that whole series. Gray was great. Heaney was really good. Eovaldi was tossed 5 1/3 scoreless before he exited. He had made an adjustment and hadn't issued as many walks as he had the previous 2 starts. So they were turning the right way. Dane Dunning had pitched well before that. Michael Lorenzen might have had the rough start, but he had some bad luck on that Saturday game against the Mariners. Some balls that just weren't hit incredibly hard,
falling in, and
but they're doing okay. But the bullpen, very, very good. Yates still has an allowed run. Robertson has a 1.08 ERA. Our guest coming up here, Jacob Latz, is now finding himself in some pretty tight situations. Josh Sports is back healthy. Jose Leclerc is pitching well. Jonathan Hernandez has looked good. His 2 times out.
Yeah. Throws that hard sinker too, man.
Yeah. And I know I'm leaving a couple of guys out, but Cole Winn, how can you leave him out? He hasn't allowed a run yet either. Jose Arena, maybe he's a spot starter here next week too. We got to consider that as a possibility. But it's weird. We're talking about the reigning world champions who are 17-15, and it's like, oh my God, what's wrong with them?
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good thing too.
That's when expectations go up.
Yeah.
Criticism does too, and that's
Yeah.
just part of the game.
Yeah.
Should we get Jake in here or anything else?
Yeah, let's go to Kansas City and get Jacob, and then do our usual down in the bus leagues after that.
All right, coming up right after this, Jacob Latz. The guest episode today is brought to you by the Round Rock Express. Jeff, what's going on Round Rock?
Well, right now Round Rock is in Albuquerque, where ERAs go to die. Although they've done okay. Got away from the bullpen in Thursday's game, but the club is coming back home. They're coming back home next week, as is the case with the minor leagues. Tuesday, May 7th, the Las Vegas Aviators. That's an A's affiliate. They're in town. It's Education Day, so it's a day game at noon. But it's also Taco Tuesday, which is every Tuesday. Wednesday the 8th, night game, $1 hot dogs. The 9th, Thursday, Bark in the Park. Love to see the dogs. It's also Thursday, where you get $3 12-ounce domestic cans or $6 24-ounce domestic drafts, which right up my alley. Friday the 10th, all things pink night. Gotta love it. The 11th, Saturday, Star Wars night. And then on the 12th, Kids Day. And then the homestand actually continues into the next week. So it's going to be a nice long stay for them. Could see some Max Scherzer there next week. Anyway, as always, go to milb.com/round-rock for more information.
All right, guys, and joining us right now on the Round Rock Express hotline, it's Texas Rangers left-handed pitcher Jacob Latz. Jake, what's going on, bud?
Not much. Just arrived in Kansas City. Just out here now, getting ready for a weekend series against the Royals, and yeah, enjoying it.
So what time do you get to the ballpark for the people watching and listening? It's just after 11 a.m. on Friday. So what time are you going to head to the ballpark?
Yeah. So first bus is usually anywhere between 1 and 2:30. I'll catch that one and get my day going there. I know that there's a staff bus before that some guys might try to get on and whatnot, but it kind of varies from guy to guy. But for the most part, rookies and then first year guys, second year guys usually get on that first bus and get their day rolling. I know on days today where the series first starts, we'll have a little extra stuff to do in terms of meetings and scouting reports and stuff. So it's nice to get there. And personally, I like to lift the first day of a series, so I'll try to get there even a little bit earlier and knock that out so I have enough time, to get my throwing and recovery in before the game actually starts, because
yeah,
got ready for that. So
is it a heavy lift? I mean, what you don't want to kill yourself here, but
right. Yeah, no, that varies too. Like I said, the first day of a series, I'll have one of my more main lifts, if you want to call it that. So I'll kind of get after it a little bit, but it's always going to be more heavier on the lower body side of things. And then I try to do three lifts within a week span, sometimes 4. But if it's 4, it's like of jumping and something explosive where I'm not getting taxed. I'm more trying to get myself just as ready as I can for that game. Usually a day game, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so that one main lift will be a true lift, a heavier lift, and then the other lifts will be more just auxiliary stuff, maintenance, arm care, explosive stuff. But it kind of varies. They do a really good job. I worked with Wade Lamont in AAA for the last couple of years, and Logan even before that. So now having them both up here is a really good plus.
Yeah, and you're not throwing around like 100-pound weights. I mean, baseball players don't have to lift heavy because they have so many little damn muscles in your shoulder. And
yeah,
we had Meister on a couple of weeks ago. Just that shoulder is so screwy, and you just don't want to strain it. You just maintenance.
Right. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I've adjusted my programs a lot in the past couple of years. I do personally like more of a true lift now, even going a little heavier, and then just making sure I take care of my stretching mobility. They have a lot of outlets that here at this level, obviously, if you want to tap into more like the yoga side of things or anything really. I mean, so I personally, I do like lifting, but then making sure that I do the other little things like you mentioned, taking care of the smaller muscles around the shoulder with arm care exercises, but then also, you know, for me, it's mobility based, like stretching. If I can do that every single day, I feel like the lifting side of things I can get after a little bit more.
All right. So we're a month into the season. You made the opening day roster for the first time in your career. It seems like you've been with the team longer. I know you've been with the organization for a while. What has this first month meant to you?
Yeah, it really has felt more of like my first real taste of the big leagues. I know I had it a little bit in 21 and last year. Last year was special, just being part of the run. But this year, I felt like I've actually been able to get my feet underneath me. Obviously, built up a little bit of trust here with the pitching staff, and that's been really nice to get going. And it feels like I'm establishing myself here and trying to really attack how I would a normal season, and I have in years past. So. Yeah, I mean, still getting used to the bullpen is still on the newer sides for me, but having a good group down there with a lot of experience helps ease that process. And I think coming in with shorter stints allows you to just be on the attack mode, and so it kind of simplifies things for me, my game plan and whatnot. But yeah, I've mentioned before, there's a lot of resources up here. I think we do a good job of making those things easier with the veteran leadership in the clubhouse, and in the bullpen as well. A lot of resources that can help you just manage the day-to-day tasks. And for me, I've always approached things on a one day at a time. So that's kind of where I'm at. Even good or bad outing, I try to just move on very quickly and then get ready for the next day.
Yeah. It's not like when, everybody in the major leagues who's a pitcher at some point in their life was a starting pitcher. It's not like you are 8 years old and you're already designated as a closer or whatever. You're the best pitchers pitch. And when they talk to you about changing roles, how hard has it been? I mean, it's different because you could pitch every day. I mean, it's not like you're going to pitch every 5 days.
Yeah. It's a lot different. It's you go from just being the most routine oriented week in a starting role to, anything goes. You can be ready at any point in the game. It is interesting for me because I didn't really feel like I was fit for the bullpen. I really didn't. I was also someone who was very cautious in how I warmed up and how I played catch before the outing and all that type of stuff. So to be able to answer on a whim of, hey, get the phone call and it's, let's go get ready. And then you're expected to be ready within a couple minutes. I was like, I don't know how I would handle that. Like I'm sure I could do it a few times, but over the course of however many games, I don't know. It would just, I feel like it would go backwards, but it's been the complete opposite experience for me. It really has. I've learned that I'm capable of doing it. I actually feel better throwing more often.
That's what I think.
Yeah, sometimes not. Command wise, it helps a lot. Like when you're in there regularly, I'm able to recreate the experience that I felt the last game and the prior game. I felt like as a starter, it was just different experiences every single time I went out there. From a negative standpoint for me, I was trying to figure out a lot of things mechanically in the past couple of years in the minors, and so for me to try to recreate those moments throughout the outing where I felt like I was finally grasping things, whether it was the third, fourth, or fifth inning, I couldn't recreate that same feeling the next time I was out there. So I felt like I was starting from square one every single time I was throwing. And it kind of put me behind the 8 ball, honestly. And so moving on to the bullpen, it flushed that whole entire mindset. It allowed me to reset and again, like I've said it a few times, but just being more aggressive with everything. I took so many other outlier thoughts out, and it was me versus the hitter. And with that, a lot of good things came, and then I realized that I do bounce back very well. I didn't think that was going to be the case either, and so I've gotten pretty addicted to it, and I really, really enjoy the process of being in the bullpen. I like having impact on more games, and being ready every single day. I've learned to love it. So
cool. Yeah, no, your appearance yesterday, it's never a good thing when Matt Listero heads to the mound.
Right.
But I mean, you were the guy they called, and I saw you throw a few, maybe get loose in the bullpen, but then you had to come in and finish warming up.
That was different
right
than
in front of
normal.
everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you had to do that last season at AAA, but that seems like a new experience.
I mean, it was new. I did fortunately have a very, very similar experience last year. We were in Oklahoma City, and we actually had three guys go, but Kent started the game, and then Cole came in, and they were kind of both doing multiple innings there. I think Kent went 3. Cole was supposed to go 3 or 4, and he came out for his 4th inning, I think, and same thing. He either had the leadoff guy get on, or it was like right after his warm-up pitches, something wasn't right. So the training staff came out, and it was like he was cramping up, and so they took the cautious approach, took him out, and Borg called down and said, "Latz, you're in the game." And so it wasn't like get hot. It was just, here we go, you're in. And at that point, that was a complete first for me. So.
Yeah.
And I did take my time a little bit doing it, but it was one of those things. It really is true. The adrenaline rush that you get being in an actual game, knowing that you're about to pitch. I don't know. It allows you to just be ready. And so I found out that I could do it. So coming in yesterday, I was like, all right, well, I've already kind of done this once, so I know I'll be fine, and I'm just going to focus on hitting Jonah's glove. I pitched yesterday, so they've been a little bit more adamant on me about kind of saving my bullets a little bit. I do like to throw off the mound before the game and whatnot a lot, so that refresher is kind of like, okay, I have my foundation underneath me. I don't need to be as strict about how I attack these things before the game, and so all those things came together, and it was like, all right, I'm ready. I could do this, and so just threw a couple warm up pitches, and the game went on. So hopefully it wasn't too much of a delay. That was the thought in the back of my mind was like, all right, I don't want it to be a dragging test. You're just watching me just throw meaningless pitches to home plate here, but yeah.
No, I thought you got ready pretty quick, and
did well too.
We always, I guess, as writers, maybe as players too, we're always like, oh, he has forever to warm up. But guys don't take, to your point, the adrenaline. Guys come in and they're ready to go. It's not like a 30-pitch bullpen to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty quick usually. So I think that
I gotta imagine you don't want to put it off too long. It's like I'm getting rolling. If I'm feeling it, let's go. I mean, why waste these pitches? Let's get rolling if I feel good.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were with the team, and you joined the team in September. You spent the whole World Series run with the team, even though you were never on the active roster. What was that like? You get a ring. What have you done with your ring? And then, but what was that month like? Just being on hand.
Yeah, so the ring is it's in its box still. I'll have it open from time to time so that it's on the rotation mode with the lights showing and everything. But no, I just kept it up in my room for now. Hopefully, down the road I'll have some type of designated room with memorabilia and stuff like that. But that would be the plan for that. Last year it was special. It really was. I had a lot of ups and downs. I felt really good about my season as a whole coming into the season. And then, September being called up, it took a lot longer than I had hoped to finally get back up to that level. And then once I did, where we were at as a team at the time was really cool to take in. The fact that we were pushing for a playoff spot. We had, control the division for basically the entire year. So being finally there on the active roster was a really cool moment of time of like, all right, it took a little bit longer, but we're also in win mode here. So that's the time I would want to be a Texas Ranger anyways. So I was, ready for that. And obviously I pitched in lower leverage situations, but that was fine. It was cool to kind of get my feet underneath me. And then once we went into the playoffs, CY had kind of kept the group of myself, Grant Anderson, Matt Bush, and Cody kind of, all within reach of being possibly on the active roster. So my mind was always in it. But, obviously it didn't happen. And then I was kind of there just absorbing everything and seeing how these guys went about their business. They had a really good, camaraderie already going, at that point of the season. So I was kind of just on the outside looking in and seeing how these guys gelled. And it was just like everything you kind of hear about growing up of what a championship team looks like. And that's exactly what it was inside that clubhouse. It didn't matter position player or pitcher. Everyone was kind of all as one. And that was the message Bochy gave us in spring training was as one. And it just wasn't fake, it was everyone really pulled for each other. They enjoyed being there at the field. And it showed on the field too. Everyone played loose and was themselves. So I thought it was just an amazing experience to take in firsthand, being in the dugout with that type of atmosphere and how they elevated their game, but they also stayed within themselves. So I felt like it was a good experience for me to take that all in. And obviously once we got the last out in Phoenix, it was just pure, joy. So
game on.
Yeah, it's hard to really describe, but it was just, I was so happy to be a part of it. And actually just be there in the clubhouse doing all the things, and started to build up a little bit more relationship with the guys and carry that into this year. So
yeah, well, I mean, you definitely earned their trust. I mean, you're pitching in
leverage situations.
Yeah, leverage situations, coming in tight games, and Bruce Bochy said it the other night. We trust them. So good for you, and continued success. It's been a long road that we're going to get into here with John, because he's going to ask you about your college career.
All the fun stuff. No, and what I remember was when we were doing our roster predictions during spring training. Yeah, Jeff was on you right away. Latz is going to make this team.
That's right.
He was like, Latz is going to. I was like, all right. And we were watching you and doing that. So, and last year you would talk about him a lot too. This is a guy I watch. Mm-hmm. So anyway, all right. So we get more personal here with you. You grew up in Lamont, Illinois. Is that a suburb of Chicago?
It is, yeah. Southwest, probably 30 minutes.
My wife is from around Peoria, Illinois. Okay. That's where my wife's from. So I've been up to Illinois many times over the last 21 years. You went to Lamont High School. Now, did you play any other sports in high school or just baseball?
Yeah, I played golf my freshman year, and then I played basketball my freshman, sophomore, a little bit of junior year, but that was it. So
baseball was your calling.
Baseball was my calling. I kind of knew going into high school that was what I wanted to do. So
okay, so we want to talk about your college career, because you ended up. What I say, you got drafted out of high school, so you were pretty ranked. You were ranked pretty well coming out of high school. 11th round by Toronto coming out of high school. You went to college. Now, Everything I saw was Kent State, but you didn't go to Kent State originally. Where'd you go originally?
Yeah, I went to Louisiana State originally, LSU. So, yeah, we got recruited. I committed my junior year, going into my junior year, so that fall, with basically at the same time as Michael Papirski, who was the high school catcher at the time with me, and I grew up playing. We started a travel ball team together, his dad and my dad, so it was really special at that time.
Okay, so what now? Were there any other schools in the running with LSU, or did you? That's where you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, the only other visit I went on was Notre Dame. And I did that early on. I did that after my sophomore year. And then a lot of schools started kind of reaching out to me around the same time. LSU was the first one that really caught my eye. And so they saw me after a tournament, travel ball tournament I did in Georgia. And so I would say a week or two after, I went down and did a camp for them, a college camp. And so just threw in front of the coaches, did type of kind of like a live batting practice situation. And then they kind of showed me the entire, campus and facilities and whatnot. And I knew that they were very interested at that point. They didn't offer anything, but within a week, I got the call from Maneri saying, we'd love to have you down there. And so I thought about it for a couple of days, and it really was I don't know if there's going to be too many places that could do more than what they offer at this point. And I was taken back by how much I actually really enjoyed that entire area, more so than what my preconceptions were going into it. Uh-huh. So I just kind of committed right on the spot there, and I didn't really bother kind of going elsewhere.
I mean, it's like a tremendous place to play college baseball, Alex Box Stadium, and all the history they have, and the following that LSU sports has. It's pretty remarkable.
You're older than Smith, right? Were you and Josh Smith teammates?
Josh Smith was 2 years after me, so he was a freshman when I was a junior, but I was already transferred at that time. But I did get to know him briefly on his official visit. We were kind of all together as one group for that, so I do remember Josh before I ended up meeting again here.
Okay, now you were drafted though out of Kent State, so you transferred out of LSU. So what's the story there? What happened? You ended up going to Kent State in your fifth round. I mean, you went much higher, fifth round with the Rangers. But what's that story?
For a guy who never pitched his last year in college.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that story.
That's why we're here.
How much time you got?
I got a lot. So my first 2 years at LSU were good, besides the actual baseball part, because I just couldn't get on the field. It seemed right away where I started feeling elbow pain. I probably was down there I did summer school before I arrived in campus, and that was all really good. But going into the fall season, when we started having our fall practices, it was probably my first bullpen of the year, and I just felt pain in my elbow. So I told them, I had never really felt anything in my arm in my career prior to that. So told them about it, and immediately did the whole MRI X-ray routine, and it was labeled as a stress reaction. So the step before an actual fracture into the elbow. I was kind of surprised because, I mean, how do you really fracture your bone just throwing a baseball? But it made sense. I mean, I threw a lot of curveballs in high school, and that was kind of my pitch that I leaned on. So I gripped that one a little bit tighter and started thinking maybe that was it, and kind of just did the whole process of rest and recovery, and then build up on a throwing program, and try to get ready. And that lasted all the way through fall practice, heading into the season. And then I was kind of getting ready to be one of the starters my freshman year, going into the season, and the pain just kind of came back as it did originally. And so I shut it down again probably a week before the season. And that whole process kind of continued throughout that entire year, freshman year. So it was every time I wanted to get back to the mound after resting it, the pain would come right back. And each time we would get an MRI, and it would show just probably a little bit more swelling, a little bit more, they called it edema, which is a fancy word for swelling. But so basically my freshman year, and then going into so one whole calendar year, so that fall of freshman year into sophomore year, I maxed out the amount of MRIs that I could get. So got to the point where it was like, all right, we can't even scan it anymore. You just got to tell us, like, if it's good enough to throw or not. And so sophomore year came around, didn't go to summer ball or anything, just kind of took the summer at home, tried to regroup. It is what it is. It was a lost year. All right, let's attack it sophomore year. Same thing. Got ready for fall practice, was in line. We were doing our purple gold World Series. I was ready to be, the Saturday guy going into the season, and the last start before, we were ready to shut down and go back into the spring season. I felt the same pain in my elbow, and it was definitely worse this time. And so we're out of range with the MRI schedule. I was able to get one more, and they're like, okay, there's a true fracture line. And we did this entire thing last year. So the only, step or process attack thing that we could do here was to put a screw in it. So I ended up having to get surgery in November my sophomore year there, get a screw into the fracture line of the elbow there on the outside. So you got your like UCL on the inside, and this was all like running on the outside of my elbow. So got the screw put in, and then I think the timeline was 4 months. So December, January, February, March. It was I was getting ready to come back mid-season of my sophomore year, and I made my first collegiate start there. It was 2 innings. I'm pretty sure it was in May. But it was against McNeese State, and Grant Anderson and Aiden at the time were there on the roster and ready. And so it was kind of funny. We were sharing stories last year and didn't realize he was a part of that team and whatnot. But he remembered actually me pitching against them, which was really cool. So basically, I kind of just was used as like a 2-inning guy that sophomore year because I didn't really have enough time to build fully up and make a true impact. We were getting ready for SEC tournament play, and the rosters kind of have to be set for that too. So I think I had eight total innings that year, that sophomore year. And unfortunately, I still had pain in the elbow after that surgery. It was pretty much the same exact pain. So at that time, I was pretty stuck. I was kind of in a rut. I was definitely just a little down, just not really sure what I should do to kind of get rid of this, because it just kind of, at that point, it seemed never ending, and it wasn't something that was like something crazy. It was just a regular, type of injury, but it just would not go away, and it affected everything. So after my sophomore year, I pitched in the super regional. It didn't go well, and so Maneri called me into the office after the season. Was just more so like trying to instill some confidence in me that, like, hey, I know it didn't go that well. You had a long journey coming back, but we're really excited for your junior year and all that stuff. And so I was thankful that he said that, but then I was also like, hey, I still kind of feel the pain in my elbow, and because they wanted to send me to Alaska to do the summer ball there.
Okay.
And I was like, I really don't think it's a good idea. Like, I still have pain in the elbow, and I kind of, like, I know you've heard this however many times at this point, but like, we got to figure this out. And he was just like immediately kind of taken back and started to basically just say, like, I think you should probably just get over the injury in a sense.
Oh man.
It was just more so like, let's see if it's more mental related. And, he started laying out kind of what a placebo effect was.
Yeah.
And, I kind of knew where he was headed with the conversation, but basically after that, I was just, I was just very point blank and honest with them. I was like, I don't know if this is the right fit for me here. Honestly, I was like, I agree with what you're saying, and I definitely think that this whole path has been an interesting one, but I gotta probably just get a change of scenery here. I know that it's not mental, and I know that there's something still going on. So basically, our we decided to just part ways there, and there really was no bad blood at that point. It just kind of fell apart. The relationship just didn't gel at that point, and so started looking elsewhere and got a restart at Kent State, where I had known the head coach there, Jeff Duncan, who was a coach at Purdue and kind of recruited me out of high school because he had gone to my high school, so I knew about him. And I was also really interested in trying to get a waiver to play Division I from Division I to Division I.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that without having to sit out a year. So my options were either go to junior college or try to go to a Division I college that has had experience, submitting a waiver to get an exemption for an athlete to play that year. And Kent State had one, I think it was 2 cases already, and I believe one of them was baseball. And so with the combination of knowing Jeff Duncan already, and that, I was kind of like dead set on Kent State. It was, because it's not Ohio there in the MAC. It's nothing crazy, and it's kind of a random school from the outside looking in. And so that was kind of how I came to that conclusion there. And I ended up writing like a 20 plus page paper of like why I should be able to play. I spent more time and more effort on that than anything curricular in college, for sure. And so we had gone through step by steps that whole way, and I was pretty confident that we would be able to win this thing and get the opportunity to play. And so that entire time I trained and acted as if I was on the team. And again, I'm talking a week before the season started in that year, that junior year, Jeff Duncan pulled me aside and was like, hey, we finally heard back today from the NCAA. And unfortunately, they said, you're not allowed to play. And I was like, hey, why can't they just let me know, in January or something? You're going to let me know right now. We're literally talking about the road trip and how we were going to get ready. And so, because they had given me checkpoints along the way, oh, that's good. Can you submit this? Can you give a little bit more? Can you give us some medical records on this? And so I was like, okay. And I did, and I had everything available for them. So it kind of just felt like they would just give me the opportunity to play. I was like, why can't I literally haven't played college baseball. Can I please play? And so they're like, nope. So I ended up basically sitting out that year. And my mindset was I might be here for one more year, but also they did a really good job of setting up opportunities for me to face those guys on every Wednesday. So every single Wednesday I threw 5-6 innings in a sim. Wow. And Mike Burkbeck was the pitching coach there. He was phenomenal. He did a really good job of getting scouts to come out and see me. And I just, everything from that point on, really, when I stepped on campus at Kent, just started to find myself again. I started to remember why I loved pitching and, what made me a good pitcher. And obviously I started feeling good, which helped a lot too. And so a lot of good things came at once. The Rangers knew me a lot in high school. And so they were one of the teams that was out there pretty regularly. And leading up to the draft, that had talked to me a decent amount and were like, if the fit's right and the round and all that stuff is there, I could see us, taking you. And ultimately it did happen. There were 2 teams that were really, I guess, pushing for me at that time. and the Rangers were one of them. And I was ready. I'd lost so much time freshman, sophomore year, but I felt like I still ended up kind of getting better, and it showed up junior year there at Kent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there's a little bit more I could go into the story. If you guys have other questions, I kind of babble a little bit. But
No, that's good. We will get. We're going to get. We want to hear all of it, and we'll get that because guys come on multiple times. We'll go a little further. So that's weird. You didn't really pitch a whole lot in college at all, but the Rangers saw you. They take you in the 5th round. How'd you find out you were drafted? I mean, you weren't in New York sitting there doing that thing.
No.
You get a call? Who calls you?
No, yeah, it was. Well, my agent called me at that time. We were all in Dallas. Actually, my whole entire family were in Dallas for that whole thing. My sisters were already there, but yeah, no, we were watching the draft on the Streamcast because after the first maybe 2 rounds,
right?
It's just the first round that's on TV. I think it's 2 rounds that's on TV. You started watching online, and yeah, it was. My agent had called me. He actually had told me at that time, it was like, the 4th round is up. Here's the money. Would you do this if they're if they have the pick there and they're still like set in that decision? And I said absolutely. So 4th round like came around and we were watching the telecast and they ended up saying Ryan Deese in that spot. And so I was like, I was confused when that moment happened because the last I heard was that I was going to get picked right there, and then got another call from the agent saying like, hey, they last minute like changed. They both agreed on different things. They're still going to take you, but it's going to be in the 5th round. So I was like, okay. So then I waited one more round. We're just watching every name go by on the screen, and then 5th round. That's when it was announced. Like you did get to see the video, but you heard the name get called. Yeah. So it was still cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, couple more personal things before we get you out.
Wait. Your sisters were down here
in Dallas. Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. So I have 3 sisters. One of them went to Texas A&M, and then she ended up getting a job in Dallas right after college. And then my other sister was, she went to school in Illinois, but they had a student teaching program in San Antonio. So she took that, and from that, the schools in around Texas that she was like trying to get an actual teaching job at, the one that she really wanted to go to was in Dallas. So she got that job there. So they were both already there. We were in San Antonio, Texas at the time living. We moved there in 2017. Oh. And then so we all kind of just joined up in Dallas to celebrate the draft. And then it ended up being the Rangers that drafted me. And now we're all
cool.
So yeah, it's been great.
You live locally, right?
I do live locally now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all right.
Okay. So now your teacher sister, what grade does she teach?
So she was teaching 6th grade for a couple of years, and then she was doing kind of like the special needs department at that school as well. And then she recently had a baby and hasn't gone back to work since then.
Okay.
Uncle Jake.
I've got a 26-year-old daughter who is a kindergarten teacher, and so she teaches in Richardson, but up here where we live in North Dallas.
Job. It's so
it is. I tell you what, it is a tough job. So, what's your favorite kind of food? Well, I mean, what if you go to? What is it? I mean, steak guy, lobster guy, seafood. What do you do?
Yeah, for sure steak. And sweet potato. That would be like my go-to meal every time. I could eat that five nights a week for sure.
Attaboy.
Yeah. Give me a ribeye. That would be my favorite cut.
Attaboy. Best cut of any.
I'm a strip guy.
Not me. Ribeye's best. Got the fat in it.
Yeah. They all have fat.
But that's good marble there.
Most fat. Yeah.
What about if you have to do fast food, what's your go-to fast food?
Yeah, see, I mean, a lot of people know this now about me. I get pretty strict on my diet, so I rarely eat fast food unless it's like something that really tailors toward me, like a burger or something like that I can do. I had a lot of gut issues growing up in before high school. Really, got carried through high school and then got worse in college. I think that was one of the bigger leading factors to the injuries at LSU. So I pretty much eat as clean as you can, I would say. It gets a lot of looks in the clubhouse and whatnot, but it's fine. I don't really care.
Is it like Crohn's disease, or is it just?
It definitely has the symptoms of it. I didn't get ever truly tested positive for that. I had the biggest thing that they were telling me that was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which it can get really tricky. So I ended up just finding out that the simpler I ate and the cleaner I ate, the better I felt. And so,
yeah, no, we had when Jake Diekman pitched for the Rangers, he had Crohn's disease, and he had this crazy surgery that basically, I mean, it changed his life. Though, I mean, he's still chucking it.
Yeah, he's still chunking it and pitching, but
he couldn't keep his weight on. I mean, it was a really fascinating deal to go through, and
I need clean living too. I've got too much fat on my ass.
We don't have Crohn's disease though. that's for sure.
What about home cooked? If you got a home cooked meal and it's your favorite, who cooks it? Are you married?
No, I'm not. My mom will still do that for me. And
what is it?
Man, that's a good question. If I had to go to like a go-to meal, my mom can do a really good lasagna that is made with things that I can have. So like she'll do it from scratch, but she'll use whatever type of gluten-free like crust, or if you want to call it that. But no, she does that really well. I feel like that's a meal that I enjoy because it's not something I can get, just at a restaurant or whatever. I have to like literally tell them exactly how to make it so that I can eat it properly. But it still tastes like normal lasagna, which is great. And so I enjoy it. Like if I could have like a pizza or something like that, I would do that. Trust me. I just
kind of do cauliflower crust and stuff like that. Is that what you try?
Yeah, exactly.
I love cauliflower crust pizza. I mean,
they actually made that for me for yesterday after the game, and it was phenomenal. So,
all right. Well, I mean, we've completely glossed over like your MLB debut, which was totally weird too.
What happened?
It was during COVID.
Oh,
yeah. So, well, it was in 21. You pitched independent ball in 20 when baseball was shut down. I mean, the journey of Jake Latz. We'll have to have part 2 at some point.
Oh my gosh, we've had so many guys on a couple times. We finally got you on. We see you in the clubhouse all the time. We'll get you on here another time too to do it. I'm going to ask you one last question. I asked everybody. This is on the first episode. We always get it. It's what's something that nobody knows about Jake Latz. Like Chris Young came on. He said nobody knows he's a big true crime junkie. He likes to watch all the true crime documentaries. We got Davis Wenzel got his finger cut off when he was 5 years old. You got Jack Leiter hates peanut butter. That's a weird one. Like that. What is something nobody knows about Jake Latz?
Wow. Let's see. I mean, I got in the first thing that comes to mind. I got in a pretty bad like snowboarding accident when I was younger. I got a. It's alright to say like it was a snowboarding accident. We were literally just sledding in the backyard of my house. We had a pretty good hill, but like we were snowboarding. We built up a really good ramp, and basically just my best friend at the time was kind of like he was just a troublemaker, really. He just would always instigate stuff, would want to fight you, all this type of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So he's sitting right after the ramp, and I'm getting ready to go down the hill, and he's, like, in the way. And I'm like, can you move out of the way? Like, I'm ready to go. And he's like, I'll move, just go ahead. I was like, okay. So started going, and of course, he never moved. So I get off the jump, and I start to lose my balance and fall forward. And basically, like he's like laying down in the snow, and his board is like still on his feet. So I'm falling forward, and I end up on the like edge of the snowboard, like the curved part. Basically, my face went straight into it, and I cut this whole lip open on down. Lost two of my teeth there, but one of them was still like laying on the ground. It literally split open my lip like completely. Like it was just the two sides were just flapping.
Oh my gosh!
Right there. So, lost a lot of blood, and they ended up flushing one of my tooth down the sewer. Got one of them though. Luckily, brought that up and ended up having to get like 40 plus stitches into my lip there. And luckily, you can't really tell anymore. So I think the story is more so that the surgeon did a really good job there, but for a moment in time, I thought I was kind of ruined and that I would never
that
the same.
Modeling career was over.
Yeah, the modeling career wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
You really became dependent on baseball then to make it.
Oh yeah.
Jeez
Louise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Jack, we really appreciate you coming on. I know you guys are busy. You're in Kansas City getting ready for the series tonight. Anything else you want to get him?
No, go get some clean lunch.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I will.
Clean lunch. We're not going to be out there this weekend, but we'll see you when you get back in town for sure. And when we get this out, are you on social media at all?
I'll do Instagram. Yeah, that's about it though.
All right,
Okay, I'll find you on there and I'll message you or something, let you know when it's out or whatever. If you want to send it out,
we'll tag him.
We'll tag him is what we'll do.
He's social media savvy here.
You guys are
Jacob Latz, guys. Jacob Latz, left-handed pitcher for the Texas Rangers. Big thanks for joining us. We're going to go down in the bus leagues right after this, guys. Down in the bus leagues is brought to you by the Frisco Rough Riders. Jeff, what's going on with the Rough Riders?
They are in town, out of town right now. They're in Corpus playing the Hooks and doing pretty darn good, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But they come home next week, beginning on Tuesday, May the 7th, with an 11:05 a.m. start. That's an early one. You know why? It's Education Day. Get those kids out there and have them watch a ball game. On the 9th, on the promotion schedule, on the 9th, they have Thirsty Thursday. The 10th, it's STEM night. So STEM teams will be at Riders Field, but also fireworks. That's always a big one on Fridays. And it's also Evan Carter weekend. Night one, it's Friday night. On the 11th, kids are on the bases, but it's Evan Carter weekend night number 2. And that's the big one because that's the bobblehead giveaway. So head out for that. And then Sunday the 12th, Kids Fun Day. It's also Mother's Day. Don't forget Mother's Day. And then to finish off the Evan Carter weekend, there'll be a jersey. That's the T-shirt jersey giveaway. So head out to see our friends at Riders Field. And for more information, go to milb.com/Frisco.
All right, a big thanks to Jacob Latz for joining us there. But now it's time to go down in the bus leagues that you just heard. And we're going to start out. We go from Round Rock. We go all the way down. Round Rock, who actually the best of all of them right now is Frisco and AA, who's playing good. But Round Rock, AAA affiliate, also the sponsor of our guest segment that we just had. They're 14-15, 6-4 in their last 10. Little different thing yesterday that you didn't catch. I did. Elior Hernandez got he took accepted free agency and left.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but it's understandable. He's been with the organization. This was his 3rd season, and he got called up in 22 for a little bit. He was a really, really good player last year. He was a minor league free agent, re-signed. But look, these guys, you got to want to move on. And if he has an opportunity somewhere else, the Rangers aren't going to stand in front of that. I would imagine that at some point we'll hear something about Elior signing somewhere or whatever. Always a nice enough guy, and look, he'd been a pretty good player, especially at AAA. And you don't blame him for moving on. The Rangers aren't going to stand in his way, and what it does is it creates opportunity for somebody else at some point. And but when you're talking about guys down there who are playing well, Sandro Fabian, who was in big league camp, he had some big hits on the last homestand. You wonder, does he get a look at some point? And maybe he does. I know we just in the big league segment we talked about the outfielders, and does Josh Smith end up in there? So I don't know if a non-roster guy like Fabian becomes an option or not. Maybe he does. I don't know. Derek Hill, who's playing arguably better definitely playing better or hitting better, more productive, a little bit more productive. Good defensive player. He made that great catch in spring training against the Reds. He's off to a nice start. Andrew Knapp, a veteran catcher, off to a good start. If something were to happen to one of the two Rangers catchers, would they go ahead and bring Knapp up because he has more experience than Sam Huff? They want Sam to keep getting reps down in the minor leagues. Of course, Sam was called up when Jonah went on the paternity list. That was just a short bereavement list. Sorry, that was just a short-term deal. But I don't know. So anyway, the depth is there. One other note: Jose Barrero has been reinstated from the development list. He had a home run in his first game. So it'll be interesting to see what changes they were able to make there and how productive he can be, because they really like him. One of the top 100 prospects in the game. So
it's kind of a disgruntling for a guy like, look at Derek Hill. He's hitting 344 with 5 home runs. He's got over 1,000 OPS, but the numbers are far better than both Langford and Carter in the big leagues right now with what they're doing. But nobody in their mind thinks that Derek Hill is a better player than Langford or Carter. But he's blocked. I mean, there's just nowhere to go right there because he is having a good season right now there. And Barrero, especially, who cleared waivers, he was a top prospect in all of baseball.
Right. Yeah. And, these guys are talented, obviously. Derek Hill, he's been in the major leagues before, but, there's a reason why these guys aren't major leaguers. Whatever it is. I'm not a scout, but scouts see something, and there are players who are better than them, and those guys are going to get the chance. I think for him to get on the roster, I think it would take a couple injuries, honestly. But anyway, we'll see. He was a nice guy to talk to in spring training. Worked hard, had a good spring. It's carried over, so good for him. We haven't even talked about the pitching. Leiter, who's been very, very good. Owen White is
5 innings his last start. Is that right?
5 and gave up two home runs. That was it, but. Still pitching very well, and he'll probably be in the major leagues next week, kind of like we talked about in the first segment. Owen White's trending the right way. He's got a chance to get a start next week. So, Mark Church, unfortunately, is going to be out a while. He's got something going on in his, I think his rotator cuff is what Chris Young said the other day. So
that just stinks.
That stinks, but yeah, we'll just see what happens there. But there are some options.
Frisco Rough Riders of the AA affiliate. They are the sponsor of this segment right here.
Yep.
Frisco's 15-9. They are in first place, 6-4 in their last 10. I mean, when you go pitching there, you're going to talk about Acker, who's probably, you're still saying the guy that's going to be in the big leagues by the end of the year.
I think so. I do. I just, the stuff is so good. And Ben Anderson is a veteran minor league guy and talented brother Ian Anderson in the Braves organization, and there might have been traded, but anyway, Ben Anderson's had a real nice start to his season. Teodo was trending the right way. Ryan Garcia just had a nice start. Our good friend Ryan Garcia.
Love Ryan. Good.
Carlos Cardoza, the manager, he said before the season this was going to be a pitching first team, and he's right. You kind of look at the hitters, Cody Freeman, and had a huge game last week with the 5-hit game, the 2 homers. He's added a home run since then. Josh Hatcher, who's the right fielder, who he's doing pretty good. Abby Ortiz, he batted leadoff in a game here recently, and kind of tells you he can get on base. And Aaron Zavala seems to be heating up. He
started slow, but he's raised his average and had a couple pops.
So definitely some bats to watch down there. So anyway, but they're doing good. They're doing good.
What's Acosta doing? He's
been he's okay. He's kind of about what he's been, 250. Doesn't have any home runs yet. And when he gets on base, he can steal you a bag. So we'll have to monitor him. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Hickory. They're 9-14, 4-6 in their last 10. Of course, Colley's still on the IL, so he's not playing there. Walcott, who we are all going to keep an eye on. Hit another bomb. That's 2 this year.
Yeah.
Still only 18 years old.
Right.
Good Lord.
Right. Yeah. You can look at go to the MILB.com and look at their stats, and it's like guys you've heard of are hitting 105 and 189.
And you're all upset. You're going, oh my God,
it's a good pitching league. The Hickory themselves has some good pitching, but you just kind of look around and you're like, God, these guys these guys are not off to a good start, and they're not. But
just turned 18.
Well, not him. And we're talking about guys who've been in college who are struggling. So, these numbers will change as the year goes along, but they're pretty gruesome numbers to look at. But Tucker Mitchell's been good. He's an old college catcher who's still in the system. Yossi Galan, he's hitting 189, but he's got 4 home runs because he has all that power. But the names to watch there: Walcott, Colley, and Gutierrez. Ian Muller, our buddy, he's really struggling at the plate too. They all are. So just think, just like good hitting can be contagious, so can bad hitting. And
sure.
But the pitching side, we need to talk about Brock Porter, who was sent to Arizona. Basically, his starts, he'd just been walking too many guys. His velocity had been down, so they're going to do a deep dive on that. Kind of like you can compare it to the deal with Leiter last year when they took him out of play. You nip it in the bud. They probably waited too long on Jack, but now they're gonna get in there on Porter, and still a young guy. This is his second pro year, so I try to figure that out. But on the pitching side, it's still Winston Santos, who's just still allowed only the 1 run this year, and it was I think his first inning of the season. And he
made the adjustment, and that just lasted for a month.
Made an adjustment. He's pitching really, really well. So you're excited about that. You have a lot of guys who you've heard of, who Aiden Curry is struggling though. Our buddy, he's got an 8.36 ERA. Of course, it's early, so that won't last. Mitch Bratt has had a good start, though his ERA is still above 5. Skylar Hales, the 4th round pick last year, he's pitching as a reliever. His ERA is 7.5. It's like, come on, it's just early in the year, and these guys are going to.
Well, and you see, some of these guys, you see the inflated ERAs, and sometimes there are ground balls that get through on players that aren't good defensively. Sure. And all of that. Now, if you're just getting rocked by people, that's different. What they're looking at more is exit velocity on a lot of these kids hitting against them. Are they barreling the guy? And, is he walking? Is he falling behind? I don't care who you are. I don't care how good your crap is. If you're behind on a batter and he can sit there and wait for something down the pipe, that just makes it better.
Well, then you look at the last time through the Rangers rotation. John Gray the other day pitches 8 innings because he's in the strike zone. Andrew Heaney goes 7 because he's in the strike zone. Their stuff plays when they're commanding it. They're not, when they say they're over the plate, they're not just putting it right down the middle, but they're working the corners.
Right.
But they're in the zone. If you're in the strike zone, your stuff's going to be good.
I've said this for all these guys, these kids that come into pro ball, everywhere they have ever played before they come here, their arm could just get them out of any situation. They would go up and blow kids away with throwing 91 miles an hour. For high school kids who can't hit 90-mile-an-hour fastballs, they just look, and then all of a sudden you come into pro ball, and then everybody is either former college players or they've been good enough to be drafted. They hit good pitching.
Yeah,
they can hit. That's why they're in and it's a whole different game than what they've been playing. And it's an adjustment. You got to come in and realize, wow, okay, I'm at a place where I can't make a mistake because these guys make you pay for mistakes.
Yeah.
And you get it in your head a little bit. If you were just rolling, look at what Porter did his last year of high school. Basically just rolled through his competition. Now people are starting to tap you a little bit, and you can get in your head a sec.
Sure.
Somebody's got to wind you down and go, dude, this is pro baseball.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. Let's go to Down East. They're the low A club. They're 11-12. They're 3-7 in their last 10. All right. Tell me about Jesus Lopez.
Yeah. 18-year-old catcher. He's batting .324 with some pop in there. They have Julian Brock on the roster too as a catcher. He was in the draft last year from Louisiana Lafayette. So they've got the young and the old. Interesting. They both have about roughly the same number of at bats. There are a lot of ways to get guys at bats these days. But that's a good one to watch, and another more good work from the international crew on that one. Marcus Smith,
Venezuela kid,
Marcus Smith, who
he's part of that trade.
Part of the Dustin Harris, Mike Minor deal. Was not very good last year. Struck out a lot. He's showing better here. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got a lot of raw power. He has a good eye at the plate. All things that are elements for being a good player. This is his second or third year at down east, which is never a good thing. But looks like he's trending in the right direction. He's super athletic. He's fast. He's going to steal you bases. He's got power. So if he can cut down on the strikeouts and make more contact, which he's done so far this year, good for him. So let's not lose track of him.
On the pitching front,
pitchers. Again, it's a mix of the young guys and the old guys. The college guys in the draft last year, some young guys international who have moved up. But a couple interesting names out there to watch. Ryan Lobus, who's done pretty well. He has a 1.32 ERA through 13 innings. So Colton Curtis has been a really good pitcher. Also, you can go down the roster and kind of see some names of Paul Bonzagni, who's a local kid. He's doing pretty well. Went to college. Alejandro Rosario, the fifth round pick last year from Miami, who could throw the ball through a wall. He just didn't know where it's going. It looks like he knows where it's going now. So he's had a couple appearances, so that's good. Just a lot of interesting guys who you want to watch. Luke Savage, our buddy, former guest from TCU. So, but you look at their workloads and these starting pitchers. They've been through, they've had 5 appearances, let's say, but they're not at 20 innings yet. They're on tight ropes. You're building them up. You're getting them used to pro ball. So, and like they'll piggyback in a lot of situations. If you see a guy who's a starter and he has a bunch of relief appearances, well, he just might be on the back of the piggyback that time through the rotation. So, it's all by design, but again, you're looking for command and control. That's why Lobus kind of sticks out, because he's got like 20 strikeouts and 3 walks. You kind of look for that stuff. But yeah, so it's unless you're actually seeing them, it's a little bit harder to judge. But the guys who are dominating will start to stick out here this month. You'll see numbers through 2 months. You're like, all right, this guy's got to figure it out. It's time to promote him.
And I still say he's not going to be with Down East, but a name to watch that's coming back at the end of this season is obviously going to be Rocker.
Yeah,
who eventually, and I'm hoping that he gets back in time to maybe in August be back to spend a couple weeks somewhere.
Yeah,
and do that and get healthy. Maybe go back into fall ball a little bit before coming into the spring next year, because that is a guy legitimately. No one's talking about it because he's not doing anything right now. He's rehabbing, but that's a guy who emerges as another one of those young arms that could go to the higher levels, AA, AAA. If he's doing but I don't think they're going to do what they did with Leiter. I bet he goes back to Hickory and gets rolling from there. But anyway, anything else we've done through them?
Yeah, just a couple things. Rangers Today, as you saw on the scroll, for those watching, but for those listening, $5.99 a month, $35 for 6 months, $60 for a year. If you email me at jeff@rangerstoday.com, I will give you 1 year for $48. You email me, I'll send you a link. Bing, bang, boom, we're done. Also coming to the website, which is pretty exciting, is the ability to buy an individual story for $1.
Okay.
So if there's a story, you're not a member, there's a story you want to read, want to give it a little test drive, click it, pay $1, see what happens. So anyway, just another way to make some money, another way to be a little more reader friendly for those of us who like me are on a, we got to operate on budgets, and I get it.
Got to make a living. This is your job. This is what you do for a living.
No, but hey, times are tough.
Yeah,
they have been. I mean, we just picked up a car payment we weren't expecting to have, thanks to that uninsured motorist in Houston.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so just spreading, again, we're spreading the word. We're We're growing. Memberships are good. We want it to always be better. You can always improve. So,
hey, and there may be some fun stuff coming out in Frisco.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're securing that down. We did get the sponsorship with them.
We're going to batten down some stuff with them, and might have a member appreciation night out there. Stay tuned for details. But the thing is, the Rangers like us, the affiliates like what we do. I hear from readers a lot, but I hear from people inside the organization who are like the way we cover the team and the minor leagues. So if they like it, you should too. So go ahead and subscribe to rangerstoday.com. Hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel. And just keep joining the Rangers Today Club, because we're about building a community, trying to respond to emails and messages, trying to be more active on social media when you guys ask questions. But let's keep this thing rolling.
All right, this one's in the can.
In the can.
All right, it's going to be. Thanks for doing that. Big thanks for Jake Latz for coming out with us. These guys taking their time to do that. It's always great to know that these big leaguers like coming on and being with us and all of that. Guys, 17 and 15, the Rangers are there. They're battling. They're still going. And we're bringing it all to you here from Rangers Today and the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. For Jeff Wilson, I'm John Moore. Until next time, we'll see you at the yard.